Today, we're going to break down one of the most powerful and, surprisingly simple tools out there for getting some serious clarity. Whether you're trying to figure out your next career move, build a business, or even lead a team, what we're about to cover is going to give you a real strategic edge. It's called a SWOT analysis. You ever get that feeling you're just stuck? Kind of at a crossroads. You know something needs to change, but you have no idea which way to turn. Well, that's where a SWOT analysis comes in. It's basically designed to cut right through all that fog and give you a clear path forward. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get into what a SWOT analysis even is. Then we'll talk about why it's so incredibly useful. After that, we'll dive into the 4 quadrants at its core. We'll get practical with how you can do one yourself, and then the most important part, how to turn all that thinking into real, actual action. Okay, so what exactly is a SWOT analysis? Well, at its heart, it's a super simple but really effective tool for planning. You can think of it like a quick health check for your career, your goals, or your entire organization. The name itself, SWOT, is just an acronym. It stands for Strengths, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Threats. It's just a simple way to organize your thoughts, to figure out what you're doing well, where you can get better, and what's happening out there in the world that you can either use to your advantage or, protect yourself from. But why does this simple little grid matter so much? Well, the real magic of a SWOT analysis is the incredible focus it gives you. It really forces you to hit pause and get an in-depth look at the areas that truly need your attention. So instead of just guessing or putting out fires all day, you get this structured, bird's-eye view of the entire landscape, both inside and out. And what's so cool about it is just how versatile it is. I mean, you can use this to map out your next career move, or to get ready for a big promotion, or to assess the health of a massive company. The principles, they're exactly the same. All right, let's get into the heart of it, the 4 quadrants. What makes this whole thing so effective is a really simple but kind of brilliant idea it forces on us: the difference between looking inward at ourselves and looking outward at the world around us. And here's how that breaks down. Your strengths and weaknesses, those are internal factors. These are things you can actually control: your skills, your company's reputation, your team's vibe. But opportunities and threats, those are external. These are the things you can't control, like what the market is doing, or some new technology, or what your competitor is planning. And when you put it all together, you get this simple grid. See? You've got 2 lines, internal versus external, and helpful versus harmful. And where they all meet, you get your 4 quadrants. It's just a really clean, simple, and super effective way to see the whole picture at once. Let's break them down one by one. First up, strengths. This is the good stuff, the positive things that are all about you. Ask yourself, what am I uniquely good at? What skills or qualifications do I have that give me an edge? This is your chance to really own your advantages. Next, we've got weaknesses. And look, this part requires some real gutsy honesty. These are the internal things that are holding you back. What skills are you missing? Where are you dropping the ball? The key here is to be totally objective. Because let's be real, you can't fix a problem you won't even admit you have. Okay, now we look outward to opportunities. These are things happening out in the world that could actually help you. Is there a new technology you could be using? A gap in the market nobody's filling? A trend that plays right into your strengths? Think about where you want to be in a few years and what's going on out there that could give you a boost. And finally, we have threats. These are the external factors that could, cause some trouble. What obstacles are in your way? Could your job be automated? Is a competitor catching up to you? Identifying these isn't about being negative. It's about being prepared. It's about being smart. Okay, so we get the theory, but how do you actually sit down and do one of these? Let's get into the practical, step-by-step stuff. It's actually a pretty straightforward 4-step process. First, you need a clear objective, like what decision are you trying to make with us? Second, just brainstorm. Get everything you can think of down for each of the 4 boxes. Third, be brutally honest and objective. And fourth, and this is absolutely the most critical step, you have to take what you found and build it into an actual plan. Oh, and here's a fantastic pro tip for anyone doing this with a team. Get a facilitator. Just pick one person whose job it is to keep the whole thing on track, make sure everybody gets a chance to speak, and stop 1 or 2 people from dominating. It makes a huge, huge difference. And here's a really common trap you need to avoid. Who you invite into the room is going to totally shape your results, right? If you only have optimists, you might miss some serious threats. If it's all engineers, you might not see the market opportunities. That's why getting a balanced team in there is just so important. And that brings us to the most important part of this whole process. A SWOT analysis is completely worthless if it just ends up as a file on your computer gathering digital dust. You absolutely have to turn these insights into action. Consultant David Lowe really hits the nail on the head with this. He says the real value comes when you take these findings and build them into your strategic plan. It shouldn't be a one-time thing. It should be a living document that guides you, something you come back to maybe once a year. So please, remember this. Finishing those 4 boxes, that's not the end goal. That's the starting line. It gives you the raw materials, that map of your reality, that you need to build a truly powerful and effective plan to move forward. And this is where it all comes together. You see, the analysis shows you how to use your strengths to grab those opportunities and how to shore up your weaknesses to defend against threats. It literally hands you a clear, personalized map. So the only question left is, where are you going to go first?